Kia ora, and welcome to Oho Ake Books. My name is Whareus Lysander. Many years ago I had an experience in Motueka, which is the top of the South Island, which is from where I'm sitting on the Makara coast of Wellington, which is on the southern western part of the lower North Island of Aotearoa, New Zealand. Motueka is, if I create a bead, a laser line from where I'm sitting right now, is basically opposite me on a diagonal of about 45 degrees in the South Island, which is Te Waipounamu, which is that way. I had an experience where I was working on a farm, organic, well not organic, it's not true, a apple orchard, and met a bunch of people that I was working on that farm with who are amazing people from Dunedin and from Auckland, all seasonal workers. And this is back in the day, back in the mid-90s, when we had travellers as well in this country, tourists coming here to work seasonally and continue travelling through the country. So I met these amazing people travelling, and these people from Dunedin, where I was living at the time, actually from, and I hadn't even known them in Dunedin, but they were all from Dunedin and from Auckland too. And I'd come up from Dunedin to pick apples that season, and I met them at this house. We became good friends, and we ended up living together at the same property for about a month and a half. And at the end of our trip, our time together, we were finishing up our picking for our season, and we all decided to go back to Dunedin together. So we were going to travel to Dunedin together and stay in touch while we were down there. And one day we went walking through the orchard, as we did in the mornings, to go and pick up our tractors and then go to the orchard to pick apples. And one of the members of our crew, there's about 20 of us in the crew, were walking through the orchard about, must have been 6:45 in the morning. It's pretty cold. This is in New Zealand's autumn, so it would have been mid-April. We were walking through the orchard, and my friend Rachel wanted to go and pop a squat, had to go to the toilet in one of the orchard rows. So she went and did it while we kept on walking towards the sheds where our tractors were. She came running out of the aisle where she was, and she yelled out to us, "Stop!" We thought she'd hurt herself, so we ran back to see what was going on. And she said to us, "Pick an aisle," and this is a bunch of kiwi fruit aisles in Motueka at the time. "Pick an aisle and go look in the grass." So we all picked an aisle each. We walked off into these aisles, and we all parted the grass and saw these enormous, what we call gold-top mushrooms. Magic ones. I can't remember the name of the species. PSILOCYBE sub something, I think they're called. Anyway, we called them subs, or we called them gold tops in Aotearoa, New Zealand. You might call them gold tops where you come from too, but there were literally thousands of them, and they were huge, huge gold top mushrooms. So for about a week and a half, 2 weeks, while we were still in the orchard, we picked every day thousands of them. Left them in the sun to dry, packed them into honey jars, and gave them to friends as gifts. The last week we were together, we decided to take a trip together, the whole lot of us, all 20 of us. So we picked hundreds, thousands of these things, gold top mushrooms. We had a huge spaghetti bolognese, a cauldron about this big, for 20 people. And then when we made the dinner, only about 5 people wanted to have any. The rest of them went, "No, you know what, I don't want any." So in the end, we convinced 2 more people that were keen to have it with us. So there were 7 of us, and we all had the whole lot. We ate the whole lot. I had 2 enormous helpings of this meal. This is my first experience with psilocybin mushrooms. When I was in my early 20s, I would have been 22, 23. And I went outside and did a shamanic ritual with my bowl of spaghetti bolognese with mushrooms in it. I went outside under a full moon. It was a full moon, I remember this. Walking outside and holding this bowl up and saying to the full moon, and this energy of the full moon, "I want to know what I really am. Please show me." So I ate my bowl, and it was hard to get down, but I ate the whole bowl, Went back for seconds, and there was probably more mushrooms in the bowl than there was spaghetti and then there was bolognese and mince, because it was a vegetarian, it was a meat dish. And I ate the whole lot, and I remember feeling absolutely nauseous after eating this enormous food. I went outside to try and be sick, because I eaten way too much. And what happened was that I wasn't quite sick. I didn't throw up, but I was close to. I didn't throw up. But what happened next was that an hour later, the experience of the mushrooms began to kick in, and I began to feel my body change, and my experience became very, very deeply spiritual. My friend Graham at the time, who was living with us, it was his first trip, and he was freaking out. It was way too strong for him, and he freaked out. He came into the lounge and found me, and my other friends raced him to find Graham, because Graham had freaked out. They were with him at the time, but he freaked out. They came to find him. When my friends put on the Temple of the Dog CD, which is Graham's favourite album, and the first song, Sailor to Heaven. At the time I had long hair, I remember sitting on the couch. Graham, instantly his mood changed when he heard the music, and I remember diving down to this paisley carpet, diving down into it in front of an open fireplace, diving into it, and the carpet was like liquid. I swam over onto my back and began to backstroke towards the fire. It was an incredibly powerful experience. And when Chris Cornell began to sing the chorus, I closed my eyes and I saw two grids appear in front of me, two grid patterns with swirling interior, swirling whirlpools in the middle of them. I remember pulling my hands towards them. As I did this, I felt a tug, a literal tug of my body. I pulled my hands back and went, whoa, that was crazy, what was that? I did it again, I feel the tug, and I let go. I remember my spirit being pulled out of my body, spinning down these whirlpool spirals and these patterns, spinning down, spinning down, and I can remember to the sound of the music, and it was the most ecstatic and euphoric experience. And then I landed on a beach, and there was palm trees to my right, palm trees to my left, an amazing sky of stars I'd never seen before, and the ocean was azure, but still dark. And I heard it, and I looked down at I looked down at the ocean, at the sand. I could see my toes, and all I could see was this luminous egg shape of myself, my true self, and my toes sticking out underneath this luminous egg shape. And then I heard a voice, a woman's voice, and she said, "I am God, and I am love, and you are a wave." And this tiny, tiny little wave broke out of the ocean, hit my toes, and then pulled my awareness into the ocean. And when I was in the ocean, I remember my awareness going into the ocean. I remember feeling other awarenesses all around me. Other awarenesses that were like me, but we were all the same awareness at the same time. We were all one. And I remember this feeling of all my human emotions, all the software programs that make up my ego, that run through my body from my ancestral conditioning, my ancestral genealogy, all the conditioning of my emotional processes and all my human nature was gone. And all I felt was this deep, unfathomable acceptance of just who I was. And this was love. Just acceptance. And I can't put this into words any more than that. I can only tell you that my feeling was, it was a deep, powerful feeling of love and acceptance. And this love was acceptance. And source energy was purely just accepting me for who I was. No judgments, no human nature, just pure acceptance. And it was the most ecstatic, euphoric experience. I remember there and then that my fear of death was gone. It evaporated immediately. It was gone. I knew that when I died, I was going to come back to this ocean and be a part of it, but I'd never left it. Only my perception that I was separate from it. Due to the nature of my being in a body, when I was in a body. It made me forget that I was part of this ocean all the time. I was never not a part of it. The separation that I felt from this ocean was a perception. Was a perception. I was always a part of it. Then, when my experience of my mushroom, the psilocybin in my body began to wear off, and it began to get weaker and weaker, I went back into my body again, like a genie going back into the bottle. And I remember getting into my body again, my ego kicked in, like the ego gave me a bashing. And the parts of myself that have been conditioned into me due to my childhood nature, my childhood experiences, my childhood traumas, the parts of my personality that I created that have been conditioned into me from my father's brutality towards me, and my own conditioning where it was keeping me, where it had kept me safe from my father's wrath as a child growing up. The parts of myself that I had created in my personality that were protecting me. As soon as I got back in my body again, I was receiving this. Who do you think you are? Where do you think you're going with your life? All these horrible questions. Who do you think you are? Where do you think you've been? You're not this. You're not special. You're not this. You're not that. And I remember being traumatized again by coming back into my body again. I cried for hours. I went to my room, went to bed, and I cried for 4 hours, maybe 5 hours, to cry myself to sleep. Probably had about half an hour's sleep before I had to get up and go to work again the next day. It was a brutal lesson for me in regards to how much the ego, how much the conditioning, my human nature is a part of my body. They're software programs that run through my body. They're not who I am. But every day I do my best to be mindful and aware that the software programs that flow through me are just that, software programs. And if I feel deeply enough into these programs, I get the true essence of what they are. And it frees me to be able to remember that I am source energy. And so are you. You're all source energy, experiencing itself subjectively, as Bill Hicks once famously said. Thanks for watching. I truly appreciate it. Mā te wā. I'll see you again soon.